Da igual dónde vives, más importante cómo lo vives.
There's people there that's been on the streets for 10, 12, 13 years.
But they don't
If you ask them, they'll tell you straight. It's because there's very few people that actually want to help you.
There's an estimated 100 million people that are homeless today. This is not a new issue, nor is it one that is showing any signs of being resolved soon. There are numerous definitions, statistics and policies about the homeless epidemic, but the issue of homelessness extends beyond what many of us may think that we know. It's about everyday people who are doing it rough. The people behind the statistics. Personal and public opinions about homelessness aren't hard to come by, but they are often uninformed and shaped by generational or ingrained bias. Estimates suggest there are 10 to 12,000 homeless children in South Africa. Children find their way onto the streets because of poverty, overcrowding, abuse, neglect, family disintegration, HIV and AIDS.
I did work. I did have a job. I was a carpenter, a qualified carpenter, and now I'm trying to get myself back on my feet again, but it's a bit difficult.
In the UK, roughly 4 out of 1,000 people are homeless.
Left school at 15, and from then I've been working ever since. 2 years ago, I lost my job. Then it just became downhill. It's like someone pulled a carpet from my feet, from underneath me, you know. When I lost my flat, I went to the council. There was nothing. They couldn't do nothing for me.
The average life expectancy of a homeless person in the UK is 42 years, compared to the national average of 74 for men and 79 for women.
Eventually, I phoned up this place and came along, and it's been a lifesaver. It took me 3 attempts. This place has been honestly a great lifesaver. Pull me back up, to talk to me, encourage me. But you know, at the end of the time, you just think that you spend 43 years working hard and paying your rent and paying your bills, and all of a sudden you've got nothing. You've got council tax, you've got electricity, you've got water, you've got your gas bills, yeah? So they know exactly. But by the time you pay all this out, you end up with £20. Before I lost my job, I was getting £400 a week. Paid my rent, electric, gas, council tax, when it comes up, put away a little bit. I could just about survive, you know what I'm saying? The same job, 2 years later, delivery driver, a lot more delivery, but it's £200 and £220 a week. Some people might say it's a good wages, but it isn't. I couldn't afford to rent somewhere and then have my gas bill, my electric bill, my water rate, council tax. Hey, you can't. £200 a week is nothing. It can't. It's just frustrating. It is very frustrating.
I stay on the street here in Belleville, by the Belleville car parking. Here we are now. Sleep outside, nothing for myself, no work, no money, no food, nothing. Suffering.
I come from Liverpool, England. I came to the United States in 1986. I've been here 26 years, spent 8 years in California, and now I'm homeless in New York. Well, I was working for the guy construction, and I was working with him when we had a deal where I was subcontracting, and at the end of the job, he kind of ran away with all the money and left me with nothing. He owed me $13,000, which left me unable to pay my rent. So then I was homeless with a dog. I couldn't get shelter with the dog, I couldn't get any help with the dog.
Lang has lived on the streets for a couple of months after applying for government housing. Lang was a professional deep-water welder and worked around the world before a power line hit his right hand. After losing mobility in his hand due to a dislocated joint, Lang had to retire from his profession. He now lives here in a shelter he made for himself.
我只希望政府，我喺香港出世，我納過咁多稅，但係我申請一間政府樓啫。我而家60幾歲啦，我想申請一間屋啫，但係申請好多年都上唔到樓。我只希望政府俾間單人房我啫。我60幾歲啦，想申請一間公屋。我只想要一嚿磚頭，俾我安靜靜過埋個環境啫。
I lost my leg in a motorbike accident in 1990. Basically ended up finding difficulty with employment and stuff like that and not being able to keep permanent employment. Ended up having trouble being homeless. Found out that there's a system in the country where they deal with sheltered people who don't have anywhere to go. Got around and getting involved in upliftment centres. Some of the centres are run by churches or church groups, which then with the help of Christianity, they try and uplift you, try and get you closer to God, closer to yourself, which is a good thing because it teaches you the values of life again, and that there are places out there that actually feel and think about you. I come from a family and from a lifestyle which has been very institutionalized, and I'm used to discipline, I'm used to rules and regulations, which are basically the foundation.
I grew up in state wards, boys' homes, you know what I mean? From the age of 3 until I was 16, I got out, and I suppose getting out of the boys' home, I didn't have any direction in life, no guidance. I was pretty much lost, didn't have any relations at all, you know, and sort of really struggled through life. Yeah, didn't have any friends, you know, I was a real loner. Basically, I've had a lot of pain in my life. I've had a lot of people die on me, and also, you know, like I've lost 3 brothers, you know, I've had two attempted suicides. One succeeded and the other one didn't. You know, and my whole life I just fell apart, mate. You know, I didn't want to live with myself. You know what I mean? But it was just something inside of me. There's toughness about me inside of me, and I think it comes from my by growing up in the boys' homes.
Living on the streets since I was 16. My dad got arrested. My dad got locked up, and I got booted out of my uncle's house because I was pregnant. I'd say it was harder when I was pregnant than I am now, because being pregnant and people asking you what you're doing out here, and like I had nowhere else to go. You know, it's like don't know what you're doing with your life.
Na ulici jsem se dostal tak, že z 85% si za to můžu sám. Alkohol, trošku drogy, pak už jsem začal na všechno kašlat a zbytek už dokázali úřady.
According to the 2004 census, Prague has a homeless population of 5,000. 86% of the homeless population is estimated to be male.
Nebezpečné chvíle na ulici jsou každý den, hlavně tady v metropoli v Praze. Metropole, jakože tady, no, o čem. Člověk se bije, člověk nikdy neví, na koho narazí. Jako člověk bydlí, já mám třeba squat, teďka docela dobrý, je nás tam 11, 2 psy, bojový, ale stejně člověk žije v nejistotě.
Most of the homeless in Prague are between 20 and 50 years of age, but an increasing number of destitute teenagers have also been reported.
Quite honest, okay? I mean, there's a lot of people out there that need help, and, you know, who do live on the street, right? But the particular people I want to point out are the mentally ill, because, you know, like once a year we have Mental Health Week, but all the money goes into research. It doesn't go into people who are living on the street, the guys who are mentally ill, you know what I mean? Most of those guys can die every year, you know what I mean, because they got nowhere to stay, you know? They don't have a voice. Like all these cancer places, right? They all have a voice, but the mentally ill don't have a voice. You know what I mean? The government closed all their facilities down, and so, you know, yeah. But as a society, right, we have a responsibility for these people. It's not their fault, the way they are. You mean, it could happen to your parents overnight. You know what I mean? You know, the human mind's very complicated. It can just snap straight away. You know what I mean?
In the 2008 homeless count, there were at least 3,062 people homeless in central Vancouver. Since 2002, there has been a 137% increase in overall homelessness, with a further 373% increase in the number of people sleeping outside.
Well, before I got into Mission Possible, I was homeless for almost 7 years because of health issues and other personal issues. But I got into their volunteer program, and then they decided to take me on to the maintenance department.
According to the 2011 census, the rate of homelessness in the Australian state of New South Wales increased by more than 20% between 2006 and 2011. This number includes people who are living in boarding houses, couch surfing, or in supported accommodation.
I'm 28 years old and I'm here in Berlin since 7 years. I come here to begin a new life, but the beginning was a little bit harder than I thought that it would be. And first of my time here in Berlin, I tried to work with old people, and it was very nice job, and I liked this job. But then I start to take some kind of drugs, and they disturbed myself, and then I stopped working, and so I got no money and lost my flat, and so I was homeless. And since that moment, I try to survive every day.
At 18 years of age, Alex bought a one-way ticket to Barcelona and has been living there for over 10 years. He began living on the beach in 2001. He made a small living by making bracelets and found whatever work he could to survive. He also earned a living from catching thieves on the beach and returning stolen possessions to their owners.
Claro, la playa es una cosa que hay muchísimos ladrones y una cosa, mira, me quedó una memoria para el resto de mi vida, puñalada de cuchillo.
Knife. So what happened?
Un intento de robo.
In 2005, Alex was diagnosed with HIV and was hospitalised with liver damage. Almost dead, Alex was given a 1% chance of survival. ARRELS, a private foundation dedicated to helping homeless people in the city of Barcelona, took him in.
Primero ARRELS empezó a ir porque con los años y la vida en la calle es muy dura y claro, todo esto acumula, y al final llega que no aguantas y salud y todo, porque en el año 2005 cuando me enfermó, me entró en el hospital, estaba a punto de morir y claro, ARRELS empezó a venir a la playa como voluntarios de la playa hablando con mi mujer y después me llevaron desde el hospital.
Latest estimates suggest 1 million children live on the streets of Egypt, most of them in Cairo and Alexandria. According to a study done by the United Nations Office for Drug Control and Crime Prevention, 82% of these children are on the street after suffering from abuse at home, 62% from neglect, 36% from peer pressure, and 16% from sensation seeking. The study also found that 70% of the children on the street turn to substance abuse to relieve the stress of homelessness.
أنا أساساً خريج خدمة اجتماعية، فخدمة اجتماعية تتعامل مع جميع المشكلات، فيعتبر ظاهرة أطفال اللي هي أطفال الشوارع أو خلتني أنا أحب المجال أكتر، لأن حسيت إن الطفل ده هو المستقبل القادم، هو الثمرة بتاع كل أسرة، فينفعش الثمرة تضيع من غير نجاح، فحبينا نخلي الثمرة ديت تكبر وتنمو.
Karim is a professor of engineering at Cairo University and runs the Children Capable of Life program in Cairo as a volunteer. Karim says that some children choose the dangers of living on the street over living in a home or shelter if the street life provides them with an income.
70% of the children on the street remain on the street. I mean, even if they go to accommodation, they return to the street. So you don't have 100% success in any organization. You work with all the children you can, and you're successful with some, and some continue with you in the residence, and some in the end go back to the street, or there are others who even don't come from the beginning. They don't want to come. And that, as I mentioned, part of it is because of the people giving them money on the streets. They're making a lot of money, and so it's not so easy to convince them to leave the street in some cases. In some cases it's the family separation of the mother and the father, and problems inside the family, and so the children get abused by either stepmother or stepfather, and then they escape. In many cases it's because of poverty, the family or the mother or the father send their children to the streets to beg and collect money, and so the children start living in the street because they get mixing with other children on the street, and then they sort of get acquainted with the life in the street, and after a while they live on the street. In some cases it's abuse by the parents, abusing the child, so the child escapes.
أحب أقول لكل المختصين أو كل المسؤولين في هذا المجال اللي هم الأخصائيين أو المسؤولين سواء الجمعيات أو المنظمات المجتمع المدني أو جميع المتخصصين في هذا المجال أو هذه الظاهرة اللي يعتبر قنبلة انفجرت في العالم كله. يعتبر نضع ايدينا في كلنا، سواء كانت منظمات تضع ايدها في ايد بعض ويعملوا تكاتف ويوفروا الاماكن اللي هي الخاصه لاطفال الشوارع. واحب اقول للمسؤولين لابد الاهتمام بالطفوله حتى يكون هناك مستقبل ذاكر للشباب واعماد الامه، عشان هم دول الثمره القادمه للعالم كله. اللي هو احنا نهتمش بالطفل هو في الصغر، اللي هو ممكن، لان الطفل الشارع ده ممكن تكون عنده امكانيات وعنده حاجات ممكن احنا نكتشفها فينفع بها البلد وينفع بها وطن.
Whether sleeping rough or living in a shelter, life for the homeless is unpredictable. Shelters are not always free and often rely heavily on private donations to stay open.
It is very difficult, especially we don't want to sleep on the street. So it's a battle every day to get the money to pay for the shelter. And you can't think of the money you have to buy food because, you must keep the money that you have for your shelter, for the shelter. Otherwise, you have to sleep outside. We come to the church for something to eat. And basically at night in the shelter, it's just the 12 rand to see that you keep yourself clean.
Yeah, in the summer it's a little bit easier, but in winter you have to look where you can sleep. Here are many for homeless people. They can sleep there, but they have
shelters.
Yeah, they have to be there until 8 o'clock, and if you don't come there until 8 o'clock, you have to sleep outside, and you have to make your money for the days. Somehow many people go and take something out of the supermarkets to
You mean they steal it?
They steal it to make money with the whole
just to
steal
survive.
things. My way were that I always say that I can't steal, and I ask people for a little bit of money. If they give, it's good. If not, I have to look however I can survive the day. You can't get a job if you don't have an address. I think that it's a little bit harder for people like me to get a job or a flat or something, because the people think that people like that are like this, and people like that do this, and like the whole world, they think like this. They don't look everywhere. They just look how they want to look, how they want to see the world.
We're heading to the back streets of Cape Town at night. It wasn't safe enough to get out of the vehicle, as our camera could have been seen as a threat. This is an area rife with drugs, prostitution, theft and violence. So during the day it's shops and everything, and then
during the day it's business as usual.
But you still got to be.
But you just got to be vigilant, because
you got to be alert about what's happening. Yeah.
Definitely.
Because something can get taken from you without even knowing, you know? I mean, without even realizing quickly how really it does happen.
My guides have been on the street for a number of years and both visit the Elam Night Shelter in Cape Town.
I used to have a drug problem. I'm a recovering drug addict. And there were people that actually listened to me trying to help me at that shelter, but there's people that doesn't know that. So they're not making the effort to go and ask for the help. It's available. Not to everyone, but it's available.
From the car, we see a fire burning, with many homeless congregating as a respite against the cold. People living here hang cardboard up around themselves as a barrier to the cold at night. It's common for rough sleepers to collect cardboard for shelters like these or to sell. There's street sleepers everywhere.
The biggest challenge was to start taking an interest in yourself, because when you lose hope in your homelessness, all you focus on is the bitter. You don't look for a solution. You just complain about the bad. And that was one of the reasons I had to come down here, because I couldn't survive another winter. Last winter I did in Alberta, I had pneumonia 7 times. If I'd have stayed there again, the good Lord sent me south, or if I'd have stayed there, I'd have died.
My personal experience, people judge you by your disability, they don't judge you by your abilities. Give the person a chance. Let him try and prove himself. Once he's proved himself, take it from there. That's how I look at it. I look at anybody with any type of disability. I mean, you listen and you hear people that are blind or telephone operators and that. But due to technology today, that's all been taken away. So what does a blind person do? Hasn't got the ability to go and work as a receptionist anymore. Guys like myself, I can sit and I can do computer data capturing work. No. I mean, I could go and do a computer course.
Many rough sleepers and shelter dwellers encounter obstacles. For instance, to obtain an ID, you usually need a permanent address. In order to interview for a job, you still need a place of residence. In order to have a home, you need a source of income. In order to get a job, you need specific qualifications or experience. But how do you afford education if you can't afford a roof over your head? How do you acquire skills if no one will give you the opportunity to acquire them? This is an overwhelming, frustrating and disheartening process for those wanting to re-establish their lives and get a fresh start.
I used to stay in Philippi Township. Where I used to stay, the people, they kick me out because I can't pay rent. Hold your clothes and see for yourself. And I decide for myself, I rather go stay on the streets, because on the street I don't pay rent, I don't pay nothing. I just organize my own food, I organize my own sleep bag, I pick my cardboards up, I've got my blankets, I sleep on the street. That's why I'm a street man, I stay on the street. Law enforcement, the security of municipality, they come early in the morning here, 6 o'clock, they took our clothes, they took our cardboards, they took the crates, they took the cans, we're washing cars here, they took everything.
Like, people on the street, like, we look after each other, and, like, the cops always pick on us because of where we stand in that, and what we do. And general people, like, just say the rich people, right, they always look at us like we're dirty little rats and that, but we're not. Like, we're just normal people that have nowhere else to go.
First, we're just living on the streets, going to the soup kitchens, and then I built myself a box, and a box which I could live in because it was too cold for me and my dog. It was like 4 foot by 4 foot by 8 foot, and I put it on the back of a tricycle so I could ride around on it. It was like a caravanette but without an engine and had a bicycle. So then the police couldn't touch me because I couldn't move. And then that was going great until the garbage people got it and dumped it on me. So all the homeless people are very generous with each other, but there's a lot out there that usually pair up. It's better to work in couples. But there's a lot out there that, you know, there's people that just thieves. They have shelters, which are just basements with 200-300 men in there. It's supposed to be really bad. Now the summer's come, because in the basement's really hot, they'd rather come outside, so nobody wants to go in the shelters in the summer. They'd rather stay outside, so now you've got a lot of homeless who don't want to go in the shelters.
They become more visible.
More visible. Yeah. It's like if you get caught lying down on the bench, you're going to go to jail. of a night. And the story is now, if it's anywhere near Thanksgiving, if you get caught lying on the bench before Thanksgiving, you're not going to get out till after January the 1st. So none of the tourists put you in jail for that whole period, just so that the tourist doesn't see the homeless people.
We manage the industrial district and the arts district here in downtown Los Angeles. A good portion of that in the industrial area covers a Skid Row area downtown where we have a lot of unsheltered individuals who live on the streets. Even though we have over 3,500 beds that are available at different missions for them to reside in, they choose to be out in the streets. It's true that at any given time during the day, over 3,500 meals are provided to all the people here on the street. You could go to one mission or one location, and they'll provide breakfast. You go to another one, they're providing lunch. Another one is providing dinner. There's showers inside, you know. And but people are here on the street. They chose to be here. Look at it. But you know, they're not all people are here because of their problems. Some of them, like we've said, you know, have mental problems. But there's resources here that's available to them.
Je strašně hodně lidí na světě, co se o to zajímá, jak žijeme, co děláme a takové ty věci strašně nám pomáhají. A i třeba tady v České republice, jako toto, na co jsem jako teda pyšný, jako kolikrát, jak jsem měl problém nebo něco, tak jsem šel na tu charitu nebo za váma. St. Egidio mi taky pomohlo jako strašně moc. Ve všem, staráte se tohleto, ale já se chci taky trošku snažit sám odebrat se z toho prostě a trošku se zase jako odrazit. Ubytovna, nějaký byt a tohleto a prostě práce a už se vykašlám na to. Já nezapomenu na vás ani na ty kluky, na ty svoje kamarády. A měl tu práci, tak třeba nastoupím, já jsem zedník, ale první, abych se zbavil alkoholu, hlavně.
In Germany it's very good that they have many help.
Okay, the social workers and.
But if you don't show them that you want to get this help, they don't help.
We have had people sent from New York, you know, all over, Chicago, you name it, Northern California. People will come in, their families will have them come here. They have to want to do it, you know. I've had people out on the street, and it's not even my job, but I've met people and said, hey, you need to come into our program. Invited them, they came in, they went through the program, graduated. Other people, they hear about us, we're a free program, we're a good program, and it's very clean and neat and organized and professional. So basically, it's both. But we can't make people come in here. And we're all privatized because we are a faith-based organization, so we're a Christian organization. If we did take, hey, we love the government, but if we do take government funding, then they're able to tell us what we can and cannot say.
Further down where I was staying in my van, the cold weather came in and a young man died in his car. I didn't know he was sleeping down there, but apparently he was. I saw the ambulance Sunday morning and I found out Monday morning that someone died down there. And they came on and told me that, you know, I can't stay here because of security reasons. So I got to get out. So I had to move the van and life then started getting me down again because where I was and thinking, okay, no one can help me, I'll just get on with life. And here I am, starting all over again, homeless and starting all over again. And they came down and saw me and put me in an assessment centre and thank God, I think I'm one of the lucky ones. Centres like this is essential. It's essential because I don't know the behind this, but you got centres like these that support people. And if you close these down, or they get, for some reason they not exist anymore, then you got chaos. You get chaos because people, they got to fight, but sometimes it's like easier to go out there and mug someone or to get what you want. Your centres, it releases relieve that pressure, oh, I can go out there and get a dinner. I can go a cup of tea, have a chat to someone. If you've got no places like this, then that's another burden.
I was looking for a concrete, specific way of being able to help out. And this building, this church, is also my synagogue on Friday nights. This gives me the opportunity at least once a week to hands-on meet people, sit down with people, talk to people, and get to see a group of people who I didn't really know that much when I was just a lawyer and a professor.
I've been working with people experiencing homelessness and poverty for the last 20 years of my life. You know, I'm somebody who has experienced a lot of challenge in my own life, and with my facial difference, and always felt different, always felt on the outside. And I think I really had a real connection with people that were struggling, and I was able to see in them their humanity. Always been looking for a way of trying to help people who society looks at as, not valuable. Homelessness is not simply caused by these symptoms that all of us encounter in life, challenges that can hit any of us. But it, at the end of the day, is a failure of neighborhood, community, and family. And we've got to find ways of being family to one another. We've got to find ways of being community to one another. And we have that responsibility as human beings.
We found Anwar, a local businessman sitting out front of his barber shop. Anwar runs a few businesses, and he often gives the homeless small jobs to do or donates items in order to assist those in need. This helps regain their dignity, gives them a sense of pride in themselves.
If we can take care of our neighbor, we should really be able to take care of the homeless, because they are as neighbors as anyone else. If we are assisting poor people by putting up houses, what's the difference between that and a homeless person? The difference here is the homeless person has been let down by some issue or somebody in his life. The blankets they do need. We also need to look at survival of the homeless people. Without the blanket, without the Bible, and without the food, what do we really offer? So those are the short-term solutions, but the teaching the guy how to fish is the more long-term solution to the problem. So we need a bit of both.
The homeless epidemic extends beyond feeding and providing shelter to those in need. Homelessness is not just a physical condition, but also a mental and emotional one. Feeding the body keeps a human alive, but feeding the mind gives a reason to live. Pavel is a psychologist who for the past 6 years has worked with a crisis intervention team at Nadej, which means hope in Czech. Nadej work with the homeless as well as people suffering from severe psychotic disorders or people who have escaped from rehab.
Rozhodně to nestačí. Jídlo a střecha patří mezi základní životní potřeby. Jako úplně první je zachování života. U toho sociálního a pak i u psychologa posoudit, o jaký problém jde, rozlišit to, jestli to je psychiatrický problém, nebo je to mentální problém, nebo je to problém, že jednak hodně závislosti ještě, anebo je to problém, že není schopen vyřešit návrat zpět k rodině a do práce.
I'm the Communications and Fund Development Coordinator at First United Church in the downtown east side of Vancouver. And I've been working here only for a few months, but a long time back, before First United Church was only an outreach ministry in a shelter, it used to be a church with a congregation, and my family used to come here when I was a little girl. So I used to spend a lot of time in the neighborhood. One of the biggest challenges I experience is that it feels like we're constantly trying to put Band-Aids on a situation that's broken. Like the system, the way our society is working isn't helping people who are homeless, whether they're homeless because of poverty or addiction or mental health issues or disability or a combination of all those things. We seem to be throwing short-term solutions at it rather than looking at the structure of our society and why things are really the way they are, and how we really need to consider that we're all a community and treat people with dignity and treat them the way they need to be supported and treated to be equals with us, not just shuffled off to a shelter or to a poor quality single room hotel. I think we need to be more community minded, and we're not.
And what I do here is I run all the major events. We do an Easter event, we do an end of summer block party event, we do a Christmas and a Thanksgiving, and each one has different components. But what we do always have is entertainment, music, food, and then of course some sort of giveaway, whether it's shoes or jackets or hygiene kits or toys or backpacks or something of that nature. And then I also oversee the gift in kind, GIK, and as well as volunteers, because we cannot do this without volunteers. Also, all the smaller minor events, and work with a lot of PR, social media, Twitter, Facebook, that kind of thing. Addiction is such a tough thing because you love these people, but addiction is really tough. It's a hard thing to deal with, you know. But I think, you know, when people leave our program, you know, those who are in our program, that is probably one of the hardest things. But they have to want it more than we want it for them. Like, I want everyone to walk across our stage. I want them to be the valid Victorian. That's not going to happen with everyone. People are going to leave the program. You know, people are going to go out and use. But we hope that we're doing everything we can, and we get better and better working with people. And they are people, you know, they're more like us and they're different from us. And the state that they're in isn't who they are. It's just something that they're caught in for the time being.
I've been working here for 8 years. And during that time, we have changed focus from only working with everyday needs, basic needs as food and you know, lodging for the night and things like that, and showers and laundering clothes. We've been turning over more and more assets and resources to work to change life situations for people in homelessness, to help them to get a more long-term solutions on their problems. To help them to get the medical care they're entitled to, the help with their drug problems, and also sometimes economical help. You know, they have a lot of debts that may prevent them to have an apartment. We can feed 100 people a day or 200 people a day, but we could see that we were feeding the same people year out and year in, so to say. And we realized that we have to work in a different way to actually make people to be stop being homeless.
I had a conference with Skechers and Souls for Souls, which is another charity. And Skechers is a big shoe company. I don't know if you've ever heard of them, but they're fairly large. And so we're going to do a shoe giveaway. So they sent us like 3,500 pairs of shoes, you know, so.
That's huge, man.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's huge.
And we'll give them away.
Yeah?
Because we're like a river, you know, with gift in kind of things that come in. You know, we're not like a stagnant, nasty pond on the side of the road. I'd say we're a clean, fresh flowing river. What comes in goes out. Some are, they're elated. And some are, aren't you going to give me a blue pair? You know, it happens, you know, some.
So it's just human nature.
Yeah, but you just love them. Yeah. And you say, oh, well, you know what? We don't have a blue pair, but you can have that green pair. You can have that. And we love them and say, thank you very much. And just try to, you know, because, again, we don't know what they're dealing with. You know, I have a bed at night. I get in my car and I leave Skid Row. You know, I commute in. You know, I live in a nice town, you know, and I don't sleep on the sidewalk. I don't have to get a bed ticket. I don't have my whole life in a suitcase. You know, I'm not dealing with HIV and AIDS. Like some people are, not all, but that is a reality. High blood pressure. There's all sorts of things that go on. A lot of stressors.
We are very much dependent on public money, in other words, donations from people who give. Some give small amounts, some give bigger amounts, but that is the way it is. We also have the support of the local churches of Goodwood. We do receive a subsidy from the provincial government They subsidize 40 beds at the moment, whereas we actually have 72 available, and that gives us a bit of a gap. It makes it a bit more difficult because it means that the subsidy we're getting, although we're getting it for 40 beds, we are actually financing the 72 in total.
The government can do something, much more to help us, or by, providing land so that we can, building housing, that low-cost housing that we can stay in. We don't have to roam about and the streets, and, it's a battle. It's hard. Especially for women. I think it's worse for women than for men. But I feel the government can do much more to help. There's a lot of us, we don't have IDs. So if you don't have ID, you can't go and look for work. So in order to, I feel the government can do much more to help us, because we are the poorest of the poor.
There is no resolution until policies that cause people to become impoverished change. And it does seem like it's on a path to continue to have more and more people, needing these type of services. There is no way to stereotype people who are homeless, that there are such a myriad of reasons that the only right way to think about it is to take people on a case-by-case basis. Yes, there are people who have mental illnesses, and that's why they're homeless. Yes, there are people who have physical disabilities, that's why they're homeless. Yes, there are people who've lost their job. Yes, there are people who have, a drug or alcohol addiction. And there are, of course, people for whom, there are multiple factors happening. But because there is no one reason, and compounded with the fact that it is, very hard, that there is so little available, inexpensive housing and so little available services and safety net, the net total is that you have a large number of people who are homeless that's ever increasing. I think that the goal would be to end all involuntary homelessness by increasing the number of programs available to help people with that, those myriad of problems that I explained.
Well, I believe that the government is got very good intentions of doing something for homelessness, trying to get people back off the street. But it is very basic a case of they must put the money where their mouth is, and they must come forward and also provide the resources in order to do that. Because very often, their policies and their thoughts on this is, if I would use the old expression, you can do it, but please not in my backyard. Very often they're very slow in coming forward and saying, well, look, we will back you, we will give you resources, we will supply you. And of course, the task at hand is so great that non-government organizations cannot do it alone.
In America now, you can work full-time and not have enough money to pay for your rent, to pay for health insurance premiums, and to pay for food. So there are many people here. We actually have people who are messengers who are working full-time, and we gave them a pass so they didn't have to wait online, so they can get back onto doing their work quickly. So in America now, we have this group of working poor who, especially living in New York City, just don't have enough resources to go around.
Of course, if we can raise understanding, if we can meet. Sometimes I say that every one of us should really try to go into situations, meet people, and go to places where we never normally go, and meet people in the society that we normally would never talk to, just to broaden our minds and experience, truly experience that they are the same. We are all humans. But I think it's difficult if we are not helped to meet each other in a trusty environment. Because if we meet each other in fear, it's very, very easily that misunderstanding will rise, and aggressiveness will turn up. and especially people living in homelessness are used to being mistreated and are, from childhood up. Violence is maybe violence is a part of their life, and especially if you're living in homelessness, violence is a daily threat.
It's about finding out what they need. So if someone's coming to us from the street and they're street entrenched, they've been homeless for years, and they're maybe dealing with extreme addiction or mental health issues, to find out what they want. Do they actually want housing? Do they want counseling? Do they want recovery support? Do they want what? And go from there. So rather than having this blanket approach of saying you are someone with an addiction, this is what you need, or you are someone with a mental illness and you're homeless, this is what you need, we're trying to work with them at each stage. I think the government's definitely trying. Are they trying enough? I would say of course not. Because why are charities running shelters? Why are charities running food kitchens? Why are charities and societies and all these other organizations providing almost all the frontline support outside of medical support? Like there's some great mental health teams and there's some great street nurses and they're funded by the government, but I look around and most of the organizations that we work with in the neighborhood are charity organizations, and they're run on donations, sometimes from the government, but oftentimes that's only a small portion of their funding.
Long-term solutions require a broad perspective. Food and shelter are no doubt crucial, but don't provide an overall resolution to an overwhelming problem and psychological state of being. How can we aid in rebuilding a person's self-esteem, regaining a sense of self and purpose, to re-establish a sense of dignity and autonomy? In 2012, ARRELS in Barcelona celebrated its 25th year anniversary. Once a year, they have a meal outside in the street. A paella is made that will feed up to 170 people. Everyone is invited to the event. The homeless on the streets of Barcelona, volunteers, and local neighbours. Everyone has a chance to come together and share a meal. Mission Possible is a non-profit organisation in Vancouver that has been providing street-level assistance and opportunities for the homeless for over 20 years. The organisation sums up what they do in 3 simple yet evocative words: people, purpose, paycheck.
We have a variety of social enterprises. We have a property maintenance company that provides exterior building cleaning services for commercial and residential property owners. We have a recycling center that recycles gently used bar soaps and bottled amenities from the hospitality industry and repurposes them for communities around the world. And the process employs women in the downtown east side. I love signing paychecks. That may sound crazy, but the more paychecks I sign, I know the more impact that we're having. And in a community like ours, it's so critical. Everybody in our community may get lined up one day a month to receive a government-issued check, having done nothing to deserve it except be labeled by society as a person of need. In a community like that, a paycheck earned with the sweat of your brow and the calluses on your hand is a powerful platform for life change. We love to see a volunteer revolution in our community where people who we know are on disability, we know have challenges and addictions, but if they can give back a little bit, if they can begin to see the world outside of themselves, it provides a whole new opportunity for change and hope. Mission Possible is completely privately funded, and then our businesses generate revenue that continues to sustain the work that we are able to offer, the jobs that we're able to create. But the issues that we have in the downtown east side are public policy issues that have been developing over years, over decades, and it's not going to be solved overnight. And so we just got to keep working at it.
The Streetwise Opera is an award-winning charity using music to help those afflicted with homelessness, providing weekly music programs across 10 homeless centres in England and Wales. They also stage opera productions featuring homeless performers. The Streetwise Opera is one of the growing number of charities using creative activity to support and nurture the homeless, rebuilding their self-esteem and redefining their sense of self-worth.
And I'm the founder of Streetwise Opera, which is a charity that uses music as a tool to help homeless people move forward in their lives. It started 10 years ago this year, when I was a part-time support worker in a night shelter in London. And that was at the end of the 1990s. And at the same time, during the day, I worked in the opera world as a journalist. And it all started because one of the residents at the night shelter I worked in read out a quote from the newspaper from a politician. And the quote was about the politician saying that homeless people are the people you step over coming out of the opera house. And it started an interesting debate about the needs of the group of people that I worked with. Homelessness is not just about housing, it's about people who've had a challenging history. So that night we talked, and one of the residents said, so could we put on an opera? We put on a short opera production at the Royal Opera House in one of the smaller spaces, and we raised some money for the night shelter, for the Passage night shelter. And after that, it became clear that the initiative should carry on. The people who were involved were walking on air afterwards, and for some of them it was the first time that anyone had applauded them. And so in a way we had found something that was about focusing on people's achievement rather than their needs. And there was a gap in the system, and we decided to fill it. Well, right from the start, we decided to put on opera productions to challenge the public, but more importantly, we decided to create a regular arts and music activity in homeless centres. One of the most important things we do is stability and creating a community for our performers, of which there are 500 a year now that we work with.
Art and being creative is really a very important part of being human. And I think your humanness is strengthened, and you're more proud about yourself if you can express what your life experiences are. So we help, actually it's more, we help both men and women to express themselves by art, by theatre, or by writing. Every 8th of March, the International Women's Day, they have a big exhibition of all their painting that they've been doing for a whole year, and then sell them. And then all the citizens of Stockholm can come and buy them. They can suddenly meet the public who they're otherwise meeting in the streets. Maybe they can meet them as artists and not as a homeless woman, so that we are not always talking for them on their behalf, but they actually are able to express themselves, their life experience and their demands, what they want to have change in society.
如果問我由於你自己老，你冇積蓄，你先至搞成咁啫。呢係兩回事嚟㗎。因為我一生我所做嘅嘢，我問心講，我係一仙一毫，我有利於政府嘅。我供書教學養兒養女啦，係咪先？我仔讀大學啦，我個仔女都讀書啦，我供養到輔導全部出晒身，負擔係好重嘅。咁啊，對仔女讀晒書啦，出晒身啦，咁我又唔想佢話要負責個老人家，因為個個都走晒啦，去晒民啦。我又唔想話去第二個國家，我想去香港土生土長，我想一嚿磚頭，過埋一晚境，係最大嘅目的。
What I really want is for people to like put out their hands to us and like tell us, okay, this is a helping hand that I would like to help you, and I would like to be more more caring for you and loving. And there is a lot of people outside in this world that do want to help, but then there's people that's telling them you can't just help that person because you don't know where that person is coming from, what that person's background is, what that person is capable of and stuff like that. But I would like them to know that there is ways that you can trust the person that's staying outside on the streets, and there is ways that you and that person can work together just to build trust together and not to always think badly of a person that's staying outside. And to the young kids out there, please keep on having faith in what you want in future.
If we're living on the street, we can't help ourselves, you know. We live on the dole on the street, you know, like it's hard enough to live trying to buy food.
There's some very intelligent people that have unfortunately maybe just taken the wrong turn in life and landed up here, but don't write us off as people. We also, our heart pumps, our blood is red, and we're the same as everybody else. We're just normal people that are living in a different circumstance. And you know what? It can happen in a flash. I mean, I was going home one day, I lost my leg, my whole life changed. It doesn't, some people, it doesn't. Some people's lives change for the better. Some people's lives change for the worse. I'm unfortunately one of those. My life went backwards. Given the chance, I will go better.
Solo quiero decir una cosa. Da igual dónde vives, más importante cómo lo vives.
Let's all be equal. All what we need is equality. To be equal. Countries from overseas must please come to South Africa, try to cover us up, help us. All the people that is suffering, we need help. No money, no work. But you people from overseas, I know you people can do this. Because you people are supporting South Africa. But these government people, they eat the money, they use the money for themselves. All what they say, this is uneducated people. These people didn't go to school. These people don't know nothing, but we did go to school. We've got experience, we've got brain, we did go to school, we can read, we do everything, but what they get, they take to them. And to the people that lives outside, don't get nothing. Nothing. I don't even worry, they can see me on TV, but there's nothing what they can do. I'm just speaking the truth. This is what's happening in this country. This is the truth. Everybody can stand against me. This is the truth. I'm speaking out of the word of God. This is the truth. These people, they're using us. Like you see us, come here, wash my car, come here, clean here, come here, clean the floors. After doing the work, you get nothing.
There are many people in many different situations that they would not expect to be homeless, and because, of course, the truth is it could happen to anybody.
People have basically made their mind up, right? If you're living on the streets, right, you're either an alcoholic or an addict. You know, one of the two. And people suffer because of that. They miss out, you know? Yeah. People have that wrong perception, you know? You know, because you don't judge a book by its cover, and that's what they do.
Try and care for each other, look after each other, you know what I mean? Help your next in kin. I mean, you should. It's everybody. Too many people today live on a basis of they don't care. They don't want to get involved. They don't.
You won't know what the next man goes through until you're not there yourself.
Okay, you give me a second here.
I was in a good house, had a good job, everything going for me. I never expected to end up on the streets.
Okay, wait a second.
And
okay, wait.
Now that I'm on the streets,
stop here.
That's basically it.
Because there's no guarantees about anything. It doesn't matter how wealthy you get. That can be all taken away. I've got a chance of having a good quality of life again. Like I ride a bike. I do 120 kilometers a week. I have 2 electric bikes that I go touring on regularly besides, and I cruise around the city, take pictures of interesting things and people. I set up a recording studio in my home that's almost completed. I'm still studying to go to school, so like when you have something positive to go on, then it just keeps rolling.
I show the homeless a bit more respect than what you do. You don't know where they've been and what they've been to. Like I used to disrespect the homeless, but now that I've been there, I'll always look at them differently now, because I know anyone can be homeless overnight. Overnight and be rich, and the next day you can be homeless. That's by no fault of your own.